Hello and welcome back to Season 5, Episode 2 of On The Grid Podcast. We are back for another episode where we'll be reviewing our 2024 pre-season predictions from 1 to 20. Joined with me, as ever, is Adrian Keita. How are you today?
I'm very good, thanks. My throat may be worse for wear, and it could be said for the two of us because we are pre-recording these ones. We've just done the very first episode, so I could be worse for wear. Fingers crossed, I'm not. But for me, it's the continued countdown of waiting until Formula One is back. It's like another two months, one and a bit, I think. So yeah, looking forward to looking over our dismal 2024 F1 driver standing predictions. But here goes nothing, I suppose.
So how this is going to work is we're going to go from 20 to first for our ratings or for our predictions from last season, and we will get 1 point for every position that we are out. So obviously the aim of the game is to have the lowest score come the end. Um, so I'll kick things off. My 20th place was Kevin Magnussen, and my 19th place was Nico Hulkenberg. So I had Haas to finish 19th and 20th. I think everybody did. Nobody predicted them to do anything this season, and they were fantastic. Nico Hulkenberg finished 11th and Kevin Magnussen 15th. So that's already a big 13 points for me from the off.
Okay. I'd like to clarify something. Are we classing 20th place? Because there was obviously 24 drivers this season. So how are we doing this? How are you wanting us to do this? How can you clarify?
So we just go off the standings. So for Joe, you count him as 20th, not 18th, because Logan Sargent and Valtteri Bottas finish lower. So wherever you put like Logan Sargent, you have to count him as the difference between where you put him and 23rd. So even though there's more than 20 drivers,
Okay.
there's no compensation for that. Um,
Okay, okay, that's fine. It doesn't sound as bad for me. So in 20th place, I did put Logan Sargent. So I have taken a massive bullet hit, not a massive bullet hit there, because I did think heading into the season, I did think that Logan Sargent would be dismal, and yet, boy, did he prove me right. He was dismal, and he did do nothing. But then in 19th, I predicted Kevin Magnussen, and I think K-Mag, I think we were of similar thoughts, to be fair, that Haas were going to be quite anonymous in the 2024 season. And they proved us wrong. I mean, it's 7 points for me at the moment from the two drivers. Missing out Kevin Magnussen by four and Logan Sargent by the three, if you're counting him because of the 24 drivers. So it's only 7 points. So it's a fairly decent start for me, I think.
Yeah, for moving on to 18th place for me is Zhou Guanyu. So only 2 points there, so he finished 20th. So I've not done too badly in that aspect. Just the 2 points there.
And boy, do you know who I've got in 18th? I've also got Zhou Guan Yu in 18th. So I think we generally agreed on what Zhou Guan Yu was going to do. I think we thought that Valtteri Bottas would outclass him, but matter of fact, could you class a Valtteri Bottas outclassing Zhou Guan Yu when he finishes more times in the points than Valtteri Bottas did last season, and Valtteri Bottas winning the P22 battle? Don't think you can class that as being outclassed by your more experienced teammate. But I think like I mentioned, we were of similar thought of Guan Yu Zhou. I think he was always heading for a tough season against Valtteri Bottas, and in essence, it wasn't a tough season against Valtteri Bottas. In essence, it was a tough season against the car that they had because it was a tractor.
Moving on now to 7th place for me is Logan Sargent. Now I take another big hit. I take another 6 points, and the less said, the better.
Hey, it's fine because in 17th place, I've got Nico Hulkenberg. And I take a hit of 6 points, because Nico Hulkenberg finished up in P11. And like I mentioned, for Kevin Magnussen, I didn't have high hopes for the Haas team. I was thinking that they could be finishing near the bottom end of the grid, and they proved me wrong. They were absolutely fantastic in the season just gone. Like I mentioned, Nico Hulkenberg finishing just outside of the top 10 in the Drivers' Championship, and he gives me my first big hit of the preseason predictions from last year. My first big hit of +6, which is Nico Hulkenberg, who I predicted in 17.
Moving on for me in 16th place, and it's another big hit. I promise it does actually get better for me moving forward. I've gone for Valtteri Bottas, so another six. I didn't predict that they'll be this bad. I knew they'll be towards the bottom, but obviously when you're adding in four extra drivers, that's already a big hit as it is. So 6 points for me. Not the best start.
Hey, don't worry, I've matched you. I've also got a big hit of +6 for Valtteri Bottas. I also predicted him to finish 16th. Um, the season Valtteri Bottas would have wanted, and not the season that Valtteri Bottas would have hoped he would have had. Um, but it's down to the car again. Kick Sauber, absolutely nowhere to be seen. You could arguably say that Zhou Guanyu wiped the floor with Valtteri Bottas because he finished in the points. If you wanna take it that way. Um, but it's another big hit. I was predicting Valtteri Bottas to maybe have a bit of a few more points finishes than his zero. But yeah, it was a dismal season for the two Kick Sauber drivers, and I mean, it's cost them their seats at the end of the day, hasn't it?
It absolutely has. Moving on to 15th place for me, though, is Yuki Tsunoda. So three off there. So we finished 12th. Predicted 15th. So not too bad for me. I'll take that one.
In 15th, I predicted Lance Stroll, who finished 13th. So I only take a +2 hit on that one. I always thought that Lance Stroll wasn't going to have a successful season. I think when you look at him when he fared to Fernando Alonso not last season in 2023, it was always going to be hard for Lance Stroll to replicate anything that Fernando Alonso does because of the sheer caliber and the sheer ability that Fernando Alonso has. So 15th place Lance Stroll, only two off. I'm quite happy with that. I think apart from the two +6s from Bottas and Hulkenberg, so far I think we've done okay.
Moving on now for me, 14th place, I've gone for Daniel Ricciardo. So another three hits, so but the opposite way. So Daniel Ricciardo finished 17th. I predicted he would finish 14th, just one ahead of Yuki Tsunoda. So again, that's not the worst one. I'll take ones like that.
And once again, I'm getting hit by a +2. I predicted 14th place Yuki Tsunoda, and he finished 12th. So again, it's another step in the right direction. But the next two are really big hitters for me. So yeah, it's one of them. There's two +2s from 14th and 15th, but the next two are really big hitters. So yeah, it's a mixed bag.
Next up for me is Alex Albon. So again, another three hit. So he finished 16th. I predicted 13th. Not great, but not bad. I think three is manageable.
And in 13th, I predicted Daniel Ricciardo. So basically, my gains are slowly being evaporated as I am dealt with a +4. Not the season that Daniel Ricciardo would have wanted. Certainly not the season, not the end of the season that Daniel Ricciardo would have wanted for himself. Was shipped out for Liam Lawson after Singapore, and it wasn't the best of sights, was it really? Especially the way that Daniel Ricciardo has shown himself in the sport at Red Bull and at other numerous other teams that he's performed in. But for me, it's a bit of a dismal display for Daniel Ricciardo. That is.
And here we go. My next one, I'm very happy with. I put Lance Stroll in 12th and he finished 13th. So just the 1 point there for me. And I think I'm luckily I'm starting to claw it back a little bit.
You've certainly clawed it back here, Mr. Ethan Evans, because in 12th place I had Alexander Albon and he finished 16th. So it's a +4 hit for me, unfortunately. And one that I don't think I will be able to kind of come back from because I'm looking now and it just doesn't look good. It just doesn't look good for me.
And then the last drive that I had in the bottom half was Esteban Ocon. So I had him in 11th and he finished 13th, 14th, sorry. So that's another 3 points for me as we move on to the top half.
Had exactly the same, mate. Had Esteban Ocon also in 11th, so a +3 for me. And I've got a sneaky suspicion this top 10 could be make or break for who wins.
So as we're halfway through, why don't we go through how many points we've got so far? So I've got 40 points. So we've got 3, 1, 3, 3, 3, 6, 6, 2, 8, 5. So 40 points overall for me from this bottom half. Obviously, the big hitters being the Haas drivers and Bottas and Sargent, which have accounted for 25 of my 40 points so far.
G3. I'm currently at 36. So if we go down, so Esteban Ocon is a 3, 4 and the 4 for Ricardo, which puts me at 11. 13, adding the 2 points from Sonoda, 15 for the 2 points for Lance Stroll. The 6 for Valtteri Bottas puts me on 21. The 6 for Hulkenberg puts me on 27. 29 after the 2 points for Zhou Guan Yu. The 4 from Kevin Magnussen puts me on 33, and the 3 points from Logan Sargent puts me on 36. So currently it's very, very tight, a very tight affair. But anything can happen with this top 10.
Now, kicking things off as we move into the top 10, I've got Pierre Gasly. So I got that bang on.
I also had Pierre Gasly. Bang on.
I thought I was going to be a little bit cocky there. Moving on to ninth place, I've got Fernando Alonso. So again, I've got that bang on. 0 points for me.
I'm moving on in ninth place. I've also got Fernando Alonso. Bang on.
Okay, so a much better start to the top 10 for us. We've got both of these bang
Absolutely.
on.
We equaled each other out. I think we kind of agreed with each other because because I've had these notes since 2024, and I think we were in agreement when we were actually doing the episode about Pierre Gasly and Fernando Alonso, and to see each other just equal each other out, it just kind of doesn't rub salt in anybody's wounds. Just kind of nice and mellow for the time being, but headed into the top 8, it's definitely going to change.
Yeah, so in eighth place, I had Oscar Piastri. So that's 4 points for me.
In 8th place, I had George Russell, so it's only a +2. As George Russell did finish in P6. So it's looking very increasingly likely that it could be a big fat W for me.
So moving on to sixth place. So sorry, seventh place. I've got Carlos Sainz. So I'm 2 places out there on Carlos Sainz. He finished fifth, and I had him in seventh.
And in 7th, I had Oscar Piastri, who finished 4th. So it's a +3 for me. Still not bad, still not awful. I think I'm leading still. But I think that I grouped in with my next driver. And I think that I was thinking McLaren were going to have a worse season than they were going to have. Do you know who I've got next? We'll have to wait and see. Give me your 6th place.
Well, I think I can tell from that. But for sixth place, I've gone for George Russell. So I've got that bang on.
Well, aren't you lucky? Because in 6th, I went for Lando Norris, who finished 2nd, giving me a +4. Which is a bit of a hit, and it makes things a lot more tighter, and I'm starting to get a little bit nervous. But I think, like I mentioned, I think I grouped the two McLaren drivers together. I didn't think they were going to have a successful season as they did, and I thought they were going to replicate their antics from 2023. But matter of fact, both of them had fantastic seasons.
And then moving on to my fifth place man is Lando Norris. So I got 3 points for him instead of the four that you've got.
But next up on my list, I have Mr. Carlos Sainz, who I have got bang on with zero. So, mm, am I starting to feed myself with some cake because I am liking the taste of this?
Fourth place, I've gone Sergio Perez, I've got 4 points there, which could be worse, it could be better.
And in fourth place, I went for Mr. Lewis Hamilton. So only a +3 for me. He finished seventh. Very much happy with that. I think that Lewis Hamilton, obviously, George Russell was the leading light for Mercedes, and I thought Lewis Hamilton was going to be the leading light. But for points' sake, I think I've done very well.
Yeah, for third place for me is Charles Leclerc, and you'll notice I haven't said somebody yet. So I got Charles Leclerc in third, bang on. But I'm a little bit nervous about who's to come up next.
Well, you've also seen that I've not said a Mr. Sergio Perez, and I've got him in third place. I take a hit of +5, which I think is fine. But you've not mentioned somebody, and you've not mentioned a certain Mr. Lewis Hamilton, who I can guarantee you've got in second. So you've taken a big hit.
You are absolutely right. I've got him in second place, and that is a hit of 6 points. And that obviously means that I have got Max Verstappen in first, getting that bang on. So, who have you got in your top two positions?
Wait. You haven't got a +6 for Lewis Hamilton. You got him as second, and he finished seventh, correct?
Oh, so I've got a +5 hit. So you've
Plus
actually helped
five.
me there.
Yeah, I'll help you out because I got Charles Leclerc in second, which puts me a +1, and Max Verstappen in first, which gives me zero. So I'll give you a bit of a helping hand, and I'll make this a little bit tighter.
So, do you want to reveal your final total for your 2024 season predictions?
So my final total, if you account the 36 I had from the bottom half, you add a +2 for George Russell, which puts me on 38, a +3 for Oscar Piastri, which puts me on 41, a +4 for Lando Norris, which puts me on 45, a +3 from Lewis Hamilton, which puts me on 50. No, 48, I believe. Wait, let me do that maths again. Where was I? 36, 38, 41, 45, 48 with Lewis Hamilton. The +5 for Sergio Perez puts me on 53, and the +1 for Charles Leclerc puts me on 54. With a zero for Max Verstappen, of course. So in total, 54 points.
Yeah, this is a rubbish game, isn't it? I ended up with 58. So I'm very happy with my top half because I've only got 18 points for it. So I got the 4 points for Oscar Piastri, the two for Sainz, the three for Norris, the four for Perez, and the five for Hamilton. The ones that let me down is really the bottom half. It's that bottom five where I've got four out of the five that I predicted have got me big points. So 58 points from me. You take the crown this year, but I'm coming for that title next year.
I don't think you are because I mean you probably arguably took the predictions crown throughout the season when we actually did predictions. I've actually not gone back and through all the recordings and checked it. It's going to be one heck of a job when I finally get round to doing it, and if I get round to doing it because we plowed out so many episodes last season, and I think arguably you did take the crown, but like you mentioned, I think I'm not disheartened from my top half of the table. I think I scored 18 points from the top half, which, a matter of fact, is a complete polar opposite and half the amount that I got for the bottom half of the table, which I got 36, I think I got from the bottom half of the table. So yeah, it was a nice little way to reflect on 2024 and show my dominance and flex my muscles from what was a very good campaign with my preseason predictions. But then again, preseason predictions are always going to be up and down. And for me to come out 4 points on top, I'd like to thank my family, my mum and my dad for showing me the ways of predictions. my uncle and my aunties for showing me Formula One. Nah, I'm not going to bore you with that. Nah, I'm just happy. I'm just happy. And long may it continue. Hopefully, it continues into 2025, and when we do this in 2026, I can flex my muscles once again.
Yeah, so if we're unanimous on that, I won the weekly predictions, and I'll take that crown. You can have this crown. So
Yeah,
if that's the way.
I've let you have the crown, but this was the big one. This was the big one, and you bottled it. So
I wouldn't say bottled it. I wouldn't say bottled it, predicting it back in what February when we done it.
hey,
But
we both were predicting it. We both were
yeah,
predicting it.
a
So
little bit of fun, a little bit of competition, and we'll be back doing it in the near future before the Formula One season kicks off again. But I think that's all we've got time for on this episode of On the Grid Podcast. Thank you all for listening. 2 episodes out now of season 5, and we'll be back next week coming at you with something new. Thank you all for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye.